It's Friday Sews. Focus on Freya. Hello everyone and welcome to Friday Sews at Sewing Seams with Deb. I'm Deb and today in the sewing room we're going to talk about what I'm wearing and it is a Freyer dress from Tilly and the Buttons stretch book. And I'm going to have a focus on Freya, and because it is probably my all-time favourite pattern. So I have 7 versions to show you. So let's get started. And a very warm welcome to you all. And for those that are new to the channel, welcome. I encourage you to like and subscribe if you find the channel interesting or fun. And for those that are returning, welcome back and a fond hello to you. So today I'm wearing the Freyer dress, and I'm going to pop in a video and a photo here on the Freyer dress and what I'm wearing. Now I made this back in 2019. Oh goodness, that was pre-pandemic. And the fabric I got from Spotlight is a fleece fabric, and I have worn this so many times and it's still maintaining its colours and its shape, and a lot of people make comments on this, and I believe it's a two-pronged thing. It is the shape of the garment, and it's a very, very simple make, plus the fabric itself is quite unique, and I've looked for it again in Spotlight and I've never seen it since. So this is the type of fleece that I like. I like to have a pattern on the fleece. I like plain ones as well for tracky dacks, but I also like for dresses, I like to have them fleecy and warm for this deep winter experience, because we are really suffering with the cold here. So that's the first one, and I'll just talk a little bit about the actual Freyer pattern. So Tilly and the Buttons stretch sewing book. Make yourself comfortable sewing with knit fabrics, and Tilly is Tilly Wellness. Sorry Tilly, I don't know how to say your last name. Wellness. And I have tagged a lot of these patterns because there's so many fabulous things in here. If you're new to stretch sewing, I would recommend getting this book. This book, Tilly goes through how to test a fabric for its stretch, which is pretty critical. And I'll talk about that in a minute when I go through one of the garments that I made. It talks about how to measure yourself. There's lots and lots of information about how to adjust for a fuller bust in stretch, how to make the pattern fit you if you're a bit wider at the hips than you are against the bust according to the pattern size, so to sort of grade it out, how to prepare your fabric. There's so much here. Using a rotary cutter, the best way to use a rotary cutter. And there's awesome pictures in here. How to stitch with stretch fabric in your regular sewing machine. So talking about, do you need an overlocker, or can you just do it on your regular sewing machine, and what needles to use, whether to use a straight stitch, a zigzag stitch, and the sizes and everything. It's just a very, very good introductory book, and I already knew how to stretch sew. I did a course many years ago when my kids were young, and I made a lot of stretch garments for them. In fact, just about all their clothes I made, and they were all stretch. So that was back in the Knitwit days, or the Bev Knits. Those in Australia might know those names. So I never had an overlocker. I had a sewing machine only, a very basic one, and I did all my seams with a very, very small zigzag, and just finished the hems with a slightly bigger zigzag, 2.5 by 2.5. So it can be done, and I always would stitch around twice around the crutch of tracky dacks, especially for the kids that were just about doing the splits in them and, you know, riding bikes and all that stuff, so save them from busting open. So Tilly's book also talks about tension, talks about how to troubleshoot if there's overlocking issues, just simple ones, not pertinent to your particular machine, just generalised. Even how to unpick an overlocked seam. Who has had to do that? And I hate unpicking anyway, but Quick Unpick is my friend, and that Tilly's also explained how's the best way to do that. So a fabulous book with some fabulous patterns. At the back is all the patterns, and here's a picture of all the patterns that are inside. So these are quite well, like you can do your whole capsule wardrobe out of this, summer and winter. So you can see you've got your basic t-shirt, you've got joggers. In fact, this is the jogger pattern I use, the Stella joggers, and this dress I'm wearing. So when I came to make the Freyer dress, I really wanted to make the one in the image that is yellow and has the lovely ruffle around the bodice. To be honest, I've never actually made the ruffle, but I love that look. And yellow's not my colour, but I really love that image. So that's where I was first attracted to the pattern itself. I've made notes as usual, and the very first Freyer dress I made actually wore out. I wore it that much. So that's gone, and it fitted, and I noted that it was 40% stretch. Now, the book recommends minimum of 25% stretch 4 ways, not just the 2 ways. And I've even made notes that I made one out of Ponte, which was low stretch, and the black and white one, which I'll talk about in a moment. And I've made notes on how big my collar, how much stretch I had in it, and if there was issues. So this one is the cowl neckline. So it comes in a lower down, a cowl, and a whole roll collar one. I haven't made the rolled collar one as yet, but I'd like to. That's on my to-do list. And I've made a note, if making this Freyer dress or top with fleece, use a size larger, or cut the seam allowance down to 1/4 inch instead of 5/8. And widen the upper arm, because I had a lot of trouble with the biceps, so I needed to make the bicep adjustment, and shorten the sleeve by just 1/2 inch. So aside from that, the perfect length. So that's all the adjustments I made to this actual garment, and in the fleece. So I've made this one, like I said, it was made in June 2019. So it's been very, very well worn and very, very well appreciated. This particular fabric has 45% stretch. So it is quite stretchy, even for a fleece. A lot of fleeces aren't stretchy. So they usually have about, I don't know, I'm saying 25%, but they don't certainly have the full 45%, unusual. Now, another one I made, which I've mentioned already, is the black and white one. Now this one, it's only got 12.5% stretch. Now, learning along the way, I realised after the fact that it did not fit, that the stretch was not relevant, so it wasn't enough stretch. So I absolutely love it, but there's no way, I mean, I can wear it, but it's so squeezy and uncomfortable. So, and it's not flattering at all. So it's a beautiful garment, and the fabric is lovely, and it's never been, worn really. It's got lovely big cuffs on it. It's just self cuffs, because I ran out of fabric. And that's got the same neckband that I've got on this one. So that's a shame because I was really looking forward to wearing that one. So I should have upsized that at least one size, maybe even two. At least if you've got more fabric, you can always sew further in the seams, and better than less fabric, like in this case. So I've never been able to wear this. I've tried, a few people have tried it to see if they like it, but I need to find someone quite thin to see if they might fit it. So, so that's that one. So that was my fail. Now this dress I made in April 2021. So I had a bit of a hiatus or a rest in between this one and that one. I think I got a little bit disgruntled and a bit disheartened. But anyway, I've got myself this amazing double brush poly from Lush Fabrics, and because it's double brush poly, it's got a really good % of stretch, and it goes 4 ways. So and the pattern itself has got 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So that's the full seam allowance that is quite mostly used. Now this fabric, I made the neck measurement 63 by 0.85. So I calculated that it was 3 inches by 21. So 3 inches wide by 21 circular. And I'll show you up close that that neckline is quite different to this one. So I did make a size 6, which is the same as this one. Because this is that much stretchier, it's actually a bit blousier, depending if I want to wear something underneath it. And it's got very fitted sleeves. I did extend the hem by 2.5 inches, and I made the crew neck. So with this neckline, sewing is my jam. I just did this neckline in the what I call the old-fashioned way. It's halving and quartering join the neckband first and halve and quarter it, and halve and quarter the neck, and then join the pins, and then slightly stretch the neck as you go. Like, that's the traditional way in my mind. I've since learned the Chanel way, but this is the crew. Now, the pattern does not actually show the crew. I trimmed it down myself, the pattern, and it was a risk, but it sits nicely on my neck. I think I might have worn this on another video one time, and then I've just got basic cuffs, but I do have the twin needling, and the hem, as I said, 2.5 inches longer, and I have done just an overlock at the edge, so it's got like a wavy hem. Can you see that? Not very well done. It's supposed to be a rolled hem, but you know what? Blind man, the galloping horse, be glad to see it. It's not perfect. So that's that one. And I did actually extend it out a bit around about the hip line. So this one's quite much wider than the one I'm wearing. So there's more fabric, and gotta love a pocket. So these ones have also got pockets, and the inside, and then the lining is different color, which I do in all of them. These ones are the same. So all my pockets. So that was the next one. Then come August in 2021, I made another one. The same approach as the previous one. And how beautiful is this? Again, it's double brush poly from Lush Fabrics. And this time I put cuffs on the wrist. So this is the halve and quarter method again on the cuffs and the neck. I didn't put a tag. I put that soft tag on the neck routine again. And I've taken the hem up this time. I haven't done the lettuce hem. I've done a twin needling on the hem. And once again, I have pockets. This is one of my favorites, this one. I just love the color. I've got black as the lining again. But the reason I like to keep the one part of the pocket in the self fabric is that it's cozy, and where your hand goes in and the underneath of your hand is on the cozy fabric, and then on the top of the hand, that's just cotton. That lining's cotton. So that's that one. Now that's had a lot of wear as well. These have all had a lot of wear and a lot of washes, and they still look fabulous. That fabric really wears amazing from Lush. Now this Freyer that I made, I absolutely love. It's actually wool, and I don't have a memory of where I got it from at all. It's got around 30% stretch, and the fabric was hard to line up the patterns, and because the stretch was a bit lower than the double brush poly, it fits a little bit more snug. Fabulous wear for a very cold day. Because it's wool and then it's close to the body, it's cozy, cozy, cozy. Cozy and warm. I'll bring it closer. Now, I didn't like how it was hanging with the pockets, so I cut the pockets out. I regret that. I wish I had kept the pockets in, because they had a beautiful satin lining, and I don't have to use them. I don't know what I was thinking cutting them out, but anyway, I get these things in my head and I just carry on. So this one, the neckline is made out of the self fabric once again, but I've managed to select a part of the fabric that's quite plain for the front, and then I've got a little bit of a pattern to the side. The back is got a pattern, so it's the same neckline as the previous two, and the pattern is just gorgeous. Don't you love the colours? And the brown background, I think brown must be one of my colours. And then all I've done is that lettuce hem on the wrist. Not very well, I must say. A bit rough. Blind man, the galloping horse, be glad to see it. But I did turn the hem up and do a twin needling hem. As I recall, the reason I did this on the wrist is because there wasn't quite enough fabric to turn it up at the end. So that's one of my favorites as well. Don't get to wear it much because it needs to be a really cold day. Well, today's a good day. So March 2022, I made this one. Summer version, well, sort of autumn version really, because the fabric's a bit thick for our full summer, but I did make it in March, knowing that the evenings are getting slightly cooler. And this has got slightly less stretch than the double brush poly. It's a bit more like this one. And so the neck, once again, is a little bit more of a crew neck. And I'll show you the difference with this one. And don't ask me where I got this fabric. I don't know. I'm assuming I got it from, and I don't have a note, I'm just looking at my notes. I think I must have got it at Spotlight, but I had it in my stash for a long, long time. So I've actually used a ribbing neckline, which is very original. Like that's what I used to do when I made all the kids stuff back in the day, and my own things. So I've used that rib because I happen to have that correct red in my stash. So now I've come back to it and twin needled it a little bit rough. She'll be right, mate. She'll be right. Then I've made short sleeves with a little puff, which I've gathered into the rib, and that comes enough way down to hide that part of the arm that I don't like. And I've made a note in my book that it's a bit short, but it's okay. So, because it's a bit more summery, being shorter is okay. And I don't need it with boots or whatever. I've got the twin needling hem. And I think I must have forgotten to cut it longer. I've made a big note on my pattern now. And once again, I've got pockets in this one. However, broke my own rule and I don't have a different colour lining. It's all self. So that's my summer version. And it's just cotton t-shirting with not a great deal of stretch. Probably not enough for me, but it's comfortable enough. And I love all the pretty flowers and the colours. So you got to love those flowers. Now this, I believe, is the most recent one, or the last one that I've made. It looks kind of black and white from far away. I'll bring it up closer in a moment. It's double brush poly, once again from Lush Fabrics. And I adjusted it down to size 5 because I lost a fair bit of weight and the other ones felt like they were swimming on me. So I made it up last year in winter, around this time actually. I just had 1.5 meters of the double brush poly. It doesn't take a lot. And again, I did grade it out from the hips down so that it's got a bit more flow. I don't want it straight up and down so much. And again, I've got the crew neck, but I'll show you what I did. Mistake. Okay, so here it is. So it's got a pretty pink in it. I've done the, didn't even do twin needling. I did zigzag, look. I cheated. Then I did the rolled hem on the hemline, getting a bit better, but it's still a bit rough and ready. But I like the way it flows. It flows really nicely with that type of hem. Silly me. Obviously, momentary lapse of concentration. I put the neckline on, very happy with how it looked, except I didn't do twin needling, I did zigzag. But guess what? I put the join that's meant to be at the back neck at the front, didn't I? Fool! So I made up this little bow and just sewed it, hand stitched it on there because just to hide it. I don't know, it looks a bit silly, but that's all right. And again, I talked myself out of the pockets. I've cut the pockets out of it. Why? I don't know. Bit crazy sometimes. I have these whims of an idea and then I regret it. I could have just kept the pockets and not put anything in it, like I said. But anyway, that's me. I'm a bit impulsive. And then I regret it. You can't ever have enough Freyer dresses, hey? Check them out. Now, what have I been making? Well, nothing new. It's just that I've finished the Olympia dress and I'm a bit disappointed. The waist stretched. Again, you live and learn. I made a big error and I didn't use the walking foot. I think this is what I did wrong. I didn't use the walking foot when I sewed the bodice to the skirt. Everything else was working perfectly and now I've got this really wide waist. I'll put a twirl in here to show you and how I'm wearing it with I'm wearing it with a belt and a short black cardigan. I like the look. And so it looks like this dress has to always have a belt because as you can see, when I take all those pieces off, the garment itself on its own doesn't do a lot for me. I don't think white is actually one of my colours, so I really do need to build colour when I'm wearing this. I really wanted to try it out and use the fabric up. So if I can wear it for 2 or 3 seasons, I'll be happy. And because it's not really cozy and thick and warm, I'll be able to wear this in the springtime as well. So it will quite suit that weather being white. and polka dot. So bit disappointing. I'm not surprised that it happened. French terry can grow. I've noticed it before. I made some pajamas a couple of years ago, some PJs, and they grew wide and shrunk in length. So, and I always pre-wash all my fabrics. So that was disappointing. But anyway, you live and learn. Well, a bit about life, what's been happening. I haven't shared with you before that I've been studying for a year, a very, very intense course. It's yoga teacher training, and it's a 500-hour course, and I've really, really been getting a lot out of it. I've really enjoyed it. However, I've got a caveat, a lot of work, so many assignments, so much work. Anyway, we've come to the end and we've done the final module. The structure of the course was once a month, attend a 2-day, what's known as a workshop or modules. So all day Saturday from 10 till 6 and all day Sunday from 9 till 5 with a half an hour lunch break. Then for the following 4 weeks, do your practice of everything you've learnt, plus your what you already know, and then do about 5 or 6 assignments during that month if you can keep up with that pace. It's a lot. Plus we've had anatomy, so that was a lot of hours of learning, and some attending those on 6 different Saturdays, I think it was, and then an assessment of that as we go each month, and yeah, a lot. And then we had the final weekend last weekend, and so we've had our final assessment. Yeehaw! And I have handed in all my assignments. Yes! So I am done. Now I'm just waiting for the feedback, and graduation is coming up in July, late July. So I'm very pleased now to be able to start running classes. I could have before, partway through I could have already started, but I've been a bit preoccupied with YouTube and some other things. So I'm very, very delighted that that is finished, and I did get a lot out of it. Amazing course, a lot of time, but well worth the commitment. So that's me. I'm finished with that. No, I finished the course. So now the real classes begin. How great's that? What am I planning to make? Well, I've only a couple of weeks away from visiting family in Melbourne and my one and only grandchild. So I want to make him some garments. So I want to make him some t-shirts. And as you know, you've seen that the vest that I made him, that I knitted him, and I've got some other things stashed away ready to take. But I want to make him some t-shirts because he loves the double brush poly. So I've got some of that ready to make. So that's really me for the next, certainly the week and maybe 2 weeks. So we see how we go with that. So that's it for today. Focus on Freya. Thank you for joining me and bearing with me with all my explanations and my descriptions. It's been a lot of fun and I've loved sharing it all with you. I encourage you, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button. Some of you might not know this. It doesn't cost any money to subscribe to somebody. Subscribing just notifies you when there's a new video up. So when you click the subscribe button, it actually just reminds you. So it doesn't take any money. There are no further commitments or anything. It's quite a safe thing to do if you're wondering. And there's a little button that's got a thumb up. So if you click on that, then that'll also help the channel. So thanks for joining me. Have a great week and happy sewing. Stay well, and I shall see you next time. Bye.